I just think about this character on Stranger Things. I think she's called Nancy. But she's on Stranger Things, and she's born in this sort of time, well, in this imaginary time in the 80s, right? She's always right. She's top of the class. Like, she's so convicted that she's always right. She's just great. She's going to be a journalist. But she goes into like a very man's world in the series of like journalism, and and she's so right that feminism is so right, and these men are like this, and this is what the series kind of portrays, and it's totally on this character's side, right? Whether that's right or wrong, that's debatable. That's not what I'm bringing it up for. But my point is, she's so sure that she's right, and the only thing really that she's not sure she's right on is whether the sort of like vaguely ISFP character should be her boyfriend or not, or some other guy. And everything else, like, absolutely, like, she's just so staunchly right. And I just feel sorry for a character like that, because that kind of character turns into like one of these Karens in the end. Fast forward 60 years or whatever it is, she's a Karen. She never changed because she was right from the beginning. She was graduating high school, and she was right, and she was brilliant, and there was nothing she could have done. There was no progression for her, no character arc. Even though like she goes around killing all the monsters and doing all this, like she goes around doing all that stuff from the perspective of always being right and brilliant. And I just thought it was a bit of a sad character.
So what makes it exciting for you as an INTJ to be wrong?
Well, it's opportunities, isn't it? To be wrong is great. Like, if someone tells me that I'm wrong and they're right, and they explain it, and then I think, oh man, they're right. And then I clap to myself like, this guy, nice. Because, I work hard to get the furthest along to being all-knowing, So when someone proves me wrong, it's like I've just leveled up. And it's like a hard level. And that's a great gift to me. And, I enjoy being involved in argumentation in that way. So the whole experience of it's great. And, winning's nice, but it's not as good as, in some ways, it's not as good as losing, because it's like I've just gained more knowledge,
What are your challenges in that, though? Would you credit the person that told you were wrong? Would you quietly take it away and think on it and never return to say anything to them about it?
No, I mean, I'll probably very quickly realise that right and be like, oh man, you good. And then I'll be like, wow, that's brilliant, mate. Well done, that's great. I'm going to have to go home and sort my life out now. I'd probably say something like that. You're right, because it depends who it, and what it is. So I'm not saying like every single time I'm like, oh, that's amazing, whatever. But I mean, some of these things you need to take away and think about more. Basically, some things like very TE-able. Perhaps I'm having a conversation with a thinker type, and they're laying out their thing, and perhaps I've thought about it before as well. I usually have, but sometimes people present things that you haven't really thought about. That's probably where you come in more, because again, like you said about sharing perspective with people and downloading a completely different point of view. Yeah, so that's where you would come in, because I've not had that before. Seeing as we're they're pretty rare types. I mean, I've never had it with another INTJ. So yeah, these things are rare, and sometimes another NI dom has a completely different angle. You only have some of your own circumstantial. So another NI dom, or anyone really, can give you a perspective that is impossible for you, that you never could have considered or conceived of, right?
Do you find that INTJs are probably naturally gifted at this?
Yes.
Why? What about you makes you more open-minded and excited about being wrong when most of the world is the opposite?
Because I know that, I would say that I'm no one. Like, I'm nothing. I'm working towards being good. Like I know, I don't know, I just instinctively know like that I'm not anyone special, but like I know that it's the hard work you put in that makes you better. You know, some people would say that I'm not very ambitious, but in some ways I am extremely so. Then someone else once said that INTJs are not open-minded, which kind of triggered me because I was like, we are like the most open-minded people there is, pretty much. You know, maybe in line with some other types as well. But you know, it's all kind of subjective, though, isn't it? Like, what does open-minded mean to you? You know, perhaps an INFP would be more open-minded than me in some ways, but then I'm more open-minded in a different way. Yeah, I mean, it makes me think of, I don't know who said this, but Grandad didn't like war. I would probably hold the perspective that, you know, sometimes war is necessary, right? But someone who'd been in a war, etc., would say, it's never necessary, right? Now that's a product of their circumstantial, because they've been in a war and seen it's not great, right? Now it's not that I don't think war is not great or that it is great. It's just that I'm taking the position of the circumstantial of that I've not been in war. It doesn't change the fact that sometimes war is actually necessary. Do you understand? So it's like this guy's circumstantial says from experience, no, war can never be justified. I'm saying for mine that, well, it can objectively, but I get your point. So I mean, you can't live every life, so you can't have every perspective. So to speak to others and download that perspective is something I think INTJs are very keen to do.